The Legend of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 1, Chapter 16, Kunoichi, written and performed by Joseph Chambers and based on the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic books created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Leonardo was next to speak. Master Splinter wants to make you a Kunoichi. I just had dinner, so I'm a bit full? April expressed, more than a little confused. Raphael mumbled something about April being worse than Michelangelo and proceeded to call his father insane, say. Splinter chastised Raphael into running several laps around the roof for that comment. April could not help but wonder that if Raphael spoke like this often, and he was punished with exercise, it was no wonder he was the bulkiest of his brothers. Master Splinter then went on to explain to April, a Kunoichi is a female ninja. April was taken aback by such an offer. Oh, thank you, but I'm not cut out for this. I'm not a mutant or anything like that. Besides, you're all like at superhero level, and I would feel a bit small in comparison. Master Splinter stroked his chin to emphasize the wisdom of his words. With training, you will become better, even if to start with you feel somewhat rusty. Splinter then lowered his voice to a whisper and leant towards April. Besides, my sons are hardly perfect. Whether they like it or choose to admit it, they all have weaknesses. April wasn't sure why, but she was hesitant about joining them. Perhaps she sensed danger in their lives. It partially exhilarated her and partially alarmed her. Could she really learn to be like them? It certainly did not look easy. Master Splinter could sense her indecisiveness and added, Why don't you see my sons in action? I will show you what you could learn under my teaching, and then you can decide. All right then, deal, April replied finally. Master Splinter offered his hand, and April shook it to confirm the agreement. Boys! Splinter barked. All four of the turtles immediately ran to form a line in front of their sensei, and both Rat and Turtles bowed in unison. I have laid out sand so we can take part in sparring without injuring ourselves too much on the concrete of the roof. Do not throw sand at each other, Splinter commanded, pointing accusingly at his students, having noticed a couple of them being tempted to do so. Raphael and Michelangelo stopped stooping to pick up the sand. April tittered at their shamefaced looks, but also took the time to notice how Leonardo did not even consider it, whilst Donatello seemed to be on the verge of joining his brothers in a potential sand-based conflict. Splinter went on. Let us begin with a simple coordination exercise to warm up. He pulled a long rope out of the seemingly small pockets of his aged, faded and worn-out black suit. Skipping, he announced. Hardly seems like the most ninja thing to do, April commented. Balance, coordination, bicep and femur exercise, focus, Splinter said in a throwaway remark tone. Fair point, April responded, her argument lying in tatters around her. April was about to plant herself on the sandy floor when Master Splinter suggested, Could you hold one end of the rope for me? April did so, surprised but pleased to be included in something she assumed she would only be watching. Leonardo was first up. April and Splinter held the rope and started to swing it roughly in sync with each other. They started off slow but gradually gained speed. Leonardo began to jump slowly and similarly increased his speed without ever looking at the rope, following the up and down unison in great athletic jumps. With every such movement, he seemed to compact into a green ball by heaving his knees up into his chest. Yummy! Splinter shouted. Leonardo stopped and went to the side to kneel alongside his brothers. Michelangelo, Splinter commanded. Mikey plodded towards the rope. Okay, Sensei, I got this. I am the fire of the ninja. I am the boss. I am the ace of... Oi, Fireboy, less mouthy, more jumpy, Splinter yelled informally. Michelangelo began jumping. While he was nimble and able to keep up with the rope, he was a tad clumsy and tripped over it 3 times. April had to help him up, trying hard not to giggle when he claimed that he meant to fall over. Next was Donatello. He swaggered over to the rope almost as if he was trying too hard to seem cool. Whilst he was confident and seemed almost in par with Leo in terms of technique, his skinny physique made him slightly stiffer and gangly, not to mention he kept looking at April for approval. She gave him small smiles to urge him onwards. Finally, there was Raphael. He walked up to the rope and glanced at April. "I'm sorry for being violent with you when we first met," he apologised. "Hey, I understand. You were scared. I would have been terrified in your shoes," she responded brightly. "I don't wear shoes. My feet ain't the right shape for it," Raphael pointed out. April didn't know how to respond. Raphael was less stiff than Donatello, but had a little trouble keeping up with the rope's movements. "Right then," Splinter announced. "Stretching. Leonardo, will you lead your brothers through some stretches? Call it your first task as leader." "Hi, Sensei," Leonardo spoke. He miraculously knew exactly what to do and surprised himself with how confidently he instructed his brothers. "Everyone follow my lead. We'll start with neck stretches," he instructed. April asked, "How are they going to use their necks as weapons?" Splinter responded with, "They are not. They are stretching them because you have to stretch every part of your body you plan on moving before exercise, or else you may strain said unstretched part and cause yourself an injury." That must have sounded like a stupid question, April reflected. There is no such thing as a stupid question. It is only through asking questions that you will learn. For example, by asking that question, you have learnt that I encourage asking questions, Master Splinter finished. April supposed that made sense and watched as the turtles moved their heads about in rhythm, up and down 10 times, followed by turning left and right 10 times, then 20 rotations bringing the head back, forwards, left and right, 10 anti-clockwise and 10 clockwise.